Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Rise and Grind Live Strategy. Let's get the day started. What is it? Today is May 9th, 2022, the day after Mother's Day. So, how is everybody doing after Mother's Day? I hope you're able to treat your mothers or visit your mothers. Whatever it is, take advantage of the weekend, get some rest, relaxation. Let's get ready to start the week, start the day. Today's Monday, like I said. So a lot of you promised today exactly, or you had said on Monday, I'm going to start on a project. I'm going to start on a better change, a better me, so on and so forth. So we're going to dive into that. But before we do, we're going to get into a little bit of the Daily Stoic. And the question of the day from the Daily Stoic asks, will I seize the day? That's right. Will you seize the day? Now, from the great Stoic philosopher Seneca, from his moral letters in 108.27b through 28a, he says, let us therefore set out wholeheartedly and leaving aside our many distractions and exert ourselves in a single purpose. Before we realize too late, and the unstoppable flight of time are left behind. And as each day arises, welcome it as the very best day of all and make it your own possession. We must seize what flees. Very, very interesting if you ask me. Yeah, I definitely would have to say that that is something really to be mindful. Now, Ryan Holiday goes on to explain from his book, The Daily Stoic. He says, you will only get one shot at today. You have only 24 hours within which to take it, and then it's gone and lost forever. Will you fully inhabit all of today? Will you call out, I've got this, and do your very best and be your very best? What will manage to make of today before it slips from your fingers and become the past? When someone asks you what you did yesterday, do you really want to answer that with nothing? So I think that's a very, very good start today. And today is Monday. Like I said, a lot of you said that you were promising that I was going to do something. And yesterday I kind of talked a little bit about your conscious choices and subconscious choices. Whatever your choice is, it's your concern choice, whether you like it or not, good or bad, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So what are we going to actually, how are we going to start? And I've talked before on Rise and Grind, the most important part of your day is how you begin. So, how do I begin? I wake up, I rise, I wake my eyes up, and I reach to the sky, get off my bed. I don't stay in my bed, I don't linger. I try not to, anyways. I get up and I go, obviously, use the restroom or whatever, wash my face, look in the mirror, and begin to acknowledge me. And it has been such a very pinnacle part of my daily life, I would definitely have to say, because the way that I greet me before anyone else, before my partner, before my family, before my kids, how I greet me is going to be more important than anyone else, because I may have carried over something from the previous day in thought. So that's something to actually be mindful of, so to speak. And when we are being mindful of what we're saying, not only to ourselves, but what we're saying to others, is going to make a bigger difference. So, that's also, but I also wanted to kind of raise just for a moment here, some critical things that have happened in history. And right now, a lot of us are in that decision point. We are trying to figure out, like, hey, you know what? How am I going to address the other things after I greet myself? That is also something that you allow in your consciousness. Now, a lot of us will turn on the TV, will turn on the news, we'll turn on some music, something will get us going, brew that cup of coffee, yeah, that's all great. But how you greet yourself and begin in those first 20 minutes of the day make big, giant thuds in your day. And I can't re-emphasize that. It makes thuds. Like how you're going to begin, a lot of times predetermines how you're going to end. A lot of you have been asking, hey, what's the best strategy? I need to read this book. I need to get into my thought process. What am I going to do differently or the same or better than I did the previous day. Because, like in the Daily Stoic, it said basically, hey, I don't want to get stuck on yesterday. If I was asked about yesterday, am I really going to answer those questions? And you might not be able to answer those questions exactly. So it's something to actually think about. So, do you want to be addressed? And if you're trying to avoid the question about yesterday, why is that? Why is it so important for you to avoid, like, hey, was yesterday a good day? And for me, overall, yes, it was. I got to see my girl. I got to see my mom. I got to celebrate my mom and those mothers who have been very impactful in my life, around my life, and the mother of, at least of my 4-year-old daughter. So it was very, very important that I made the assertion of, yesterday was a good day. And last night before I went to bed, I or left my girl's house, I was, matter of fact, I was talking to somebody on here on wisdom, and we were literally talking about, he was saying, holiday blues, and all I heard was typical fashion of, it's kind of like trauma bonding and trauma dumping. And what he was doing was he was going rehashing out the story of all the bad shit that's going on. And I feel you, brother. It's not that I'm trying to sort you out, and I'm not going to mention your name, but the point was is that he was retelling the story of what he was suffering over and over and over, and how many, and I asked some critical questions. How many people have you told that story over and over and over? So just remember that how you begin your day, what the story you're going to tell, not only yourself, but others around you, even complete strangers, is going to make the difference. And I encourage them. I was like, hey, start owning the day. Start owning your moment. And if you can't, and he was trying to say some cliche distractionary things. I was like, no, none of that matters. It really doesn't, because the only thing I prescribed to him was basically saying, just take 5 minutes and start, sit still and breathe. And for a lot of people in a lot of positions, that's very difficult for them to do, exactly just to breathe. And what does breathing do? Breathing has helped me calm and balance my body, my spirit, and my thoughts. That's right. Balancing all of those things is very, very essential to your daily living. So, how you begin, let's just even take a moment break right now and just take a deep breath in and let it out. And another deep breath in and a relaxed breath out. And just even just, and if you want to continue, go right ahead, but doing that basic exercise in the first parts of your day, recognizing that you are breathing and you are alive, starts the first part of activization. That's right, you got to get active. You can't get lost in prognosis or progressive paralysis with analysis. You can't overanalyze. You cannot retry and redo yesterday. Something may bad happen to you, or bad happen, a chain of events. But see, today, right now, is a new chain of events. It's a new style of choices. I know I also have those apprehensional anxiety moments. Yeah, that's right. Me too. I'm no different from you. But what I am doing is, like I told the guy last night, I said, hey, begin training. You can read all the books, you can hear the motivational speeches from YouTube and whatever. You can pay to go to conferences, but the thing is what's going to make the difference is that daily training. You got to, sometimes I don't want to do it. And like kind of like in the month of April, I kind of like got, I was up and down, but I was like, you know what? I've got to push through. No matter what it is, I've got to get into this routine that makes my existence recognizable to me. And that's why I said, greet yourself, look, wash your face off, shave, whatever, um, put some lotion on, whatever it takes to greet you, brush your teeth, and tend to you, and breathe, breathe, get that, and like anything that gets done well is because you are able to balance your breathing and you're conscious of it, as well as your feelings. Because here's one of those critical things. Feelings can trick you. Your feelings may be delusional. They may be stuck on one part of the object of or the scheme of things. It may be stuck and hiccup. Like I was watching a movie called Aviator this last weekend, and Leonardo DiCaprio, towards the ending credits, he's like, he got stuck in a mental paralysis. He's on, we've got to be innovative, we've got to be innovative, and he kept on saying that, and we've got to work to the future, to the future. And he couldn't get out of that stutter. And it's like, how many of us are there? It's like, I've got to work better. And begins this pressure. The body feels congested, the shoulders feel hunched over, and all that stuff. So it's really a matter of time, for you to understand, like, okay, what am I playing with? What am I working with? Right. So, oh, I forgot to click on live on Instagram. So we're going to continue on. And for my Instagram listeners and followers, hey, sorry, this is going to be a little late. So I am coming on late. I didn't forget to press record. So, anyways, so how you're going to begin your day is really going to set the tone of your momentum. That's right. So imagine you have to push a big giant boulder down the hill, right? Or up a hill. It's going to matter exactly on your momentum. If you don't get your mind right, the body's not going to follow. It's just as simple as that. Sometimes you got to trick the mind and get your body moving, so it's like, hey, raise your hands in the air, do some push-ups, do whatever it is. If you have the time and the availability to make a difference out of your day, it's getting your body and not laying in bed. Like soon as within 5 minutes of you waking up, swing those legs over and say, you know what, this is not gonna, hey, I'm not gonna be paralyzed by what kind of crap is going on in my mind. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go wash my face off, take care of me, present me to me be that I'm the only superhero in my life. I don't need someone else to come and be that. And there are times I do need people to assist me, but remember, you are your own hero in the story. You are the director, the producer, you're the narrator, you're the chief actor. You're all of it all at once. So just remember what you tell people and what you tell yourself. Just remember, you're the director. You are in control of that, no one else. And if someone else is, well, that's a different story. You may be held captive. And I'm sorry about that, but I don't want to necessarily go into that narrative. Anyhow, the point is actually, so stretching, greeting the morning like you want to. If you want today or the future to come, then guess what? The goals of the future have to have a destination. Yes, they have to have an appointment. You may not know of everything to do all at once, but begin with simple 5 things, 5 critical areas. One, touching the body. Two, touching the spirit. Three, touching your mindset. Yeah, that's right. Those 3 things, those first pinnacle things, are the most essential part of your day. How you approach your spirituality, your physicality, and your mentality is going to determine a lot of that strength. And if you haven't trained it, that's okay. Don't be judging yourself too bad. But what you can do is like, okay, if I can only say like do 2 push-ups, then fine, that's what I'm going to do. If I can only do 10 jumping jacks, then fine, that's what I do. If I can only do like a couple toe raises or leg raises, it doesn't matter what it is, but at the end of the day, you are going to decide, the more that I do it in repetition, I do it today, then I'm going to do it tomorrow, and I'm going to do it the next day. It doesn't matter, wait for the weekend or not. You are going to do this until eventually you start seeing results. So that's the number 4 part, the action, right? So you have spirituality, physicality, mentality. Now it's the action. You have now decided to do something, you are doing something. And then the 5th, the 5, just like your hand. Number 5, your strategy. That's right. You got to put some strategy in the day. If you never realize how important strategy is, sometimes even action, like we get lost in the sauce trying to figure out, well, what's the best way to start? Which direction should I go into? It means like, hey, get moving and you will figure this out one way or another. You will, because you have decided, I'm not going to lay in bed. I'm not going to be feeling like crap. Even I may feel like crap, but it's not going to stay. I've made that decision. Say that every day to yourself. If you've been stuck, depressed, things aren't working out, you're not getting the love, you're not having your needs met. Well, guess what? You are in charge of that. You are the only one in charge of those needs to be met. So when we get to that part, the strategy, what can we do? Right. What can we do when it comes to strategy of actually putting it all together? Yeah, those five things that I talked about, that's the strategy, the action, the physicality, the spirituality, and the mentality. Now, one kind of cross pollinates the other. It kind of is like almost the same. You might be saying that, but it's like your mentality. That means how I understand I need to combat the illusions in my mind of trying to stay secure. One of my good friends, Matt, he was calling me out this last week and he said, hey, Jay, I know you are struggling, bro, and I don't want to see you paralyzed. I'm going to call you out just like you called me out. And I listened to him for a little bit and I really got to appreciate him in so many ways because the what he did for me was remind me, yeah, even I get complacent. Even I get, stuck. But that doesn't mean, sometimes you're stuck for a little bit, but don't stay there. And how do we, it's the action part, right? So if you don't understand what you're doing and what to do next, start walking. Don't stay in the house, get yourself out unless it's really raining, stormy, or you're in a tornado or something. Yeah, be careful of that one. But I mean, still, there is nothing stopping you from getting moving. You can find some way of once the body's moving, guess what? Those little synapses going off in your brain of what to decide, what to do, and how to do it, it starts to, hey, we're moving, the blood's flowing, the neurons, all that electricity is going off, and then guess what? Creativity starts staying into play. It starts working. It says, all right, well, if I were prescribing to someone else who was coming across my attention, what would I tell them? So imagine you are telling you, like, hey, do you feel like crap? You really feel bad? All right. But let's move on to the next critical thing. So you said, so maybe you out there have promised yourself, I was going to start out workout on Monday. Oh, Monday begins. I'm not ready. But here's the real next critical point when you're doing those workouts. If you promised yourself that you were getting into a better you, don't over anticipate what you're going to do. Be a little paced and challenge yourself adequately. Understand your momentum and your movement are synonymous with each other. Your availability and your ability are also very big keys in all of that. Because I've seen people, including myself, who've gone to the gym in the first 5 days. I'm sore as hell. I can barely move. I feel like I'm a Gumby doll with no knees. It's like, oh, that hurts. Well, yes, it's gonna hurt, but the more that you do it, and not overly aggressive, for me, I'm 49 years old. I can't move like when I was 21. I can't move like when I was 30. Why is that? Because I sat on my ass, excuse my language, I sat on my butt for way too long and I didn't do enough about it. So you may be beginning day one. Day one is like step one. So it's time to get unparalyzed. And I don't care what it takes. Get into it, get moving, get the things going. And it's going to make a big difference in the long run. So, like I said, mentality. So, here is how we get mentality to work for us. And that means being affirmative. Now, some of you might say, I need to make those affirmations. Yeah. What is the root of an affirmation? You affirm that you have chosen to act, do, no matter what the cost is, you will do to believe. And if you're not believing, your actions, that body moving, will eventually tell your mind, like, hey, stupid, sit down, start learning from us. We're going to do this. So there is another part of you, that second brain, that's your gut. This thing is your internal warning system. It will tell you when you are in danger. It will tell you when something isn't right. So sometimes your mind's like, ah, should we really do this? I don't know. Well, you know what? Your gut, if it's there and if it's alive, will tell you, hey, just get up. Let's not be so hard on ourselves. Write a note to yourself. I will take one more step than I did the previous time. I will make sure that whatever I do today will be the best of my ability and look forward to the improvements. Say these things to yourself. Put them on a post-it note, put it on your mirror, put it on, your phone. This is one of the things that I kind of learned recently from Steve Harvey. He was talking about his vision board. He puts it on his phone, he puts it on his tablet, puts it on his computer. He makes sure that what he really wants out of his life, the results are always in his attention of of his spirit and his physicality and his mentality. He knows that every step he makes an improvement, or at least goes forward. And that's the beautiful thing. For many of us, our feet are pointed forward. Our nose is pointing forward. Our eyes are pointing forward. Our mouth is pointing forward. Our ears are aside, right? Interesting enough, most of us, the whole body design is going forward. We can't go backward. We can't go back in time. So why are we going to argue about the past? Well, my mom screwed me up, or um, my relationship, my wife did me dirty. Recently I had a guy who come on and came on to my show last week, and he started trauma dumping about his relationship. Well, it's like, okay, that's great, I appreciate what you're doing, to a point, but I've heard your story one too many times, and if you're forgetting who you told your story to, that's other another part of your affirmation. I will not rehearse the stories of old that tear me down. Remember that. I will not rehearse the stories that tear me down, and say it over and over and over until it's like in your brain saying, I'm not going to make these moves to do this. I don't care what excuse you come up with, what's happened to you in the past, who beat you up, how you got abused, or how you suffer, or how that relationship tore you down. The point is like you've got to start being that director. It's like, nope, sorry, I'm the Martin Scorsese. Hold up, wait, break. I want you to do this, okay? Your body and your mind are moving, and now it's like, okay, stop rehearsing the bad stuff. It's good to recognize that it has existed, but it doesn't mean it needs to be like concrete. You want to walk with concrete shoes on your feet? Keep telling people all the worst things about you. And trust me, some of us, we get stuck for a little while, but that's okay. But long as we know we can shed that weight, because you know what? You ever see people who are working out and they've got those weights around their ankles, and it's like I'm not an advocate for those things. That wears down your joints, your knees, your back, your hips. You're not doing yourself any favor. So you think you're making your legs stronger? No, try some deadlifts, try some squats. That'll make you wiser. But see, that is not putting more weight on you at all times or long periods of time. So when we are actually telling ourselves those stories, those things, it formulates the mentality of our mind and our livelihood. If you want something better, okay, I was reading in a book about, it's called, matter of fact, I just got this book recommended to me by a friend of mine. It's called Super Thinker, and it's by Gabriel Weinberg and Lauren McCain. And one of the things that he really highlighted, he talks about basically the paradigms that we shape, the mental models. And in the beginning chapter, he says there are reoccurring concepts that are called mental models. Once you are familiar with them, you can use them quickly, create mental pictures of a situation, which become a model that you can later apply to similar situations. He talks about exactly why this is so important. Of if you have a bad process or a bad way of doing, and you say, I want to change, well, okay, well, now you got to start creating that new mental model, right? So, and he also goes on and says most of the concepts you are not taught in a university or school, and this should be taught. How can we teach our kids to be better and be prepared to being an adult if they don't understand what they need to know? Sure, I could teach you physics. I could teach you how to write a perfect sentence, a paragraph. I could teach you history over and over and over. But if you are not learning how to manage your mind and your parents are not teaching you, whose responsibility is it? It's yours at all times, and you have to emphasize that. I don't care if you bought your kid a tablet and you bought all those programs that were supposedly going to help them grow their mind. Well, guess what? You're also taking a moment to letting someone else be their mentor. Now, there are going to be a series of teachers throughout your life, whether personal, professional, education. And just remember, they are giving samples, and you formulate the expertise of you. But he also goes on to say, in just even the introduction alone, he says an example of useful mental models of physics, in the concepts of critical mass. Critical mass is a nuclear material needed to create a critical state of whereby a nuclear chain reaction is possible. Critical mass is essential, a mental model to develop an atomic bomb. That's right. You are the producer, that energy. If you're woofing down cups of coffees, Red Bulls, and all that stuff, I need more energy. I need more energy. And you're tired, you're exhausted from all that sugar. That's right. Your physicality is going to be a big part of this. Um, did was a cup of coffee the first thing I drank in this morning? Nope. What did I drink? I drank 24 ounces already of my water bottle. I began that to, hey, it's time to lube up the joints, time to get the blood in its viscosity. It's like, hey, the body works so hard while we're asleep. The least we could do is give it at least half a gallon by the time you leave the house. Yeah, that's right. Drink two of these before the first cup of coffee. Why? I'll tell you why. So when I read this one book, Own the Day, one of this guy that was training, he was talking about that coffee is a diuretic. Is yeah, it's a great warm liquid, and it gives us that caffeine boost. But what it also does is it tricks the stomach not to be hungry. That's right. You're putting off your natural state of being because your hunger is now needs to be suppressed. Now that I got coffee, hey, I don't need to do any. I can get the kids ready. I can get myself in the car, drop them off to school, and then boom, I can go do my job. And then by the time you get to work, you have spent more adrenaline energy in that movement, in that moment. You are going to spend more time in a few moments in the beginning of your day because you're drinking coffee down, because you're getting that caffeine, that Red Bull in your system. You're saying, okay, well, hey, I've got the trick. I've got definitely the thing of what I need. And then 10 o'clock rolls down. Guess what? They call it the 10 o'clock drag, right? You're in the office, you're doing what you're doing, and you feel sleepy. I don't have the movement, the moment to do what I need to do. I need another source. Oh my God, I can't wait to lunch. So then you begin this dialogue of diversion. You're trying to escape actually what you're doing for why you're doing it. I feel tired, you know. So anyhow, so that's just a critical thing that you need to be aware of at all times. And greetings over to my friends over on Instagram. I'm not really taking any speakers on. I'm live recording podcasts. So just for my friends who are following me on Instagram, be mindful. I am just recording for the podcast just to make a visual example. If you want to hear the full version, I am recording this live on Podbean, which will be distributed out on Audible, iHeart, Google, Apple, all that great stuff. It'll be out there readily and available to you. Anyhow, so getting back into it. So though, like I said, the morning is really essential to what's going to happen. So this also, a lot of important things come up in the morning. You've got emails, you got text messages, you've got morning meetings. I like some of the business leaders of today who say, like, for example, Jeff Bezos doesn't take any meetings um, till after 10 o'clock. He's like, no, not until 10 o'clock. I'm not gonna take any meetings. Why is that? Because he's allowing himself to rise for his choice. And he has a lot of important people that he works with to give his orders of how his company is going to run. Now, I'm not saying this is the guy model citizen. I'm not saying that, but just using some of the examples of what they do. Other people say, hey, I don't answer my emails until 1 o'clock. Well, why is that? And the more that I found out when I studied some of these people, they were basically saying that it's like, look, there are so many unnecessary emails. Like I've seen emails to me, it's like 3 sentences and it's done. It's like you could have just sent me a text message. But see, people want to verify the proof of getting their thought out instead of like, hey, I would like to have some touching bases, some mindful thoughts. Here it is, text message, or use whatever your screen reminder. It's like, okay, thanks, appreciate it. Move on. Or wait for some of those thoughts. If it's not like, hey, you're not a doctor, or if you're not somebody who's working as a world leader and a bomb is about to go off, slow down the pace of your time, pace your morning out, use the best strength. So by the time you get to lunch and you get that great break, yeah, lunch 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, but 30 minutes is most likely for us. I have a way to step away from whom I'm around, what I'm doing, to be reflective in my efforts of how I started my morning, how I choose to be with whom, and then the next part of the day. So those next 4 hours or 5 hours, that's going to determine about, hey, what was accomplished. And that's another thing. Be mindful, record some of your works. Like, hey, I was struggling with so and so. I had a meeting today at 11 o'clock and I just had a personality conflict. Or, you know what? This project that I'm working had some hiccups. Write yourself little reminder notes, get a pen and pad, and start saying, all right, I need to work this out, you know? So having those reminders like, hey, this is definitely a point of action that I need to address. Because how many of us have said, oh yeah, I'm going to get that. That's going to be very important. But it doesn't take place until 5, 2, 3 weeks later, until it's a critical mass where it's like, all right, well, this problem that I have, I knew about it last Monday, but I'm taking apart like next Friday. And now it's much more work that exerts me. Okay, prioritize exactly what you're doing out of the day. And I gotta love a line from the Adams Family when Gomez says, you know, he's all sully. Hey, we don't start new business until old business is completed. That's right. How much of old business needs to be the priority of your day? Attending to those things and putting things in a category or a list like, hey, all right, last week I didn't get to finish this project. What can we do? Am I asking for the right assistance or help? That's right. You need to ask. Sometimes some people say they're self-made. I say, you know what? Bullshit. No one's traditionally and totally self-made. Nobody is. Everyone has gotten some help, some teacher who taught them a process or functionality of what they need to do, right? So that's in the next part of the, the whole scheme of things. So anyhow, as I get ready to bring this to a close because it has reached the 30-minute marker, this is a momentum. I will continue this Wednesday on how are you going to begin. We're going to take on the next section. This is a two-part series, so we will continue on Wednesday. So make sure that you tune in live on Wisdom as well as Podbeam. If you haven't, I'll be able to have it replays for Podbean and all the podcasts. If you have any questions on Wisdom, my link tree's up there, all the social media. If you're following me on Instagram, you'll be able to see this in my archives as well, at least for most of it, because I didn't start the filming. So is there anyone in the audience who want to actually come up and add, to the conversation? I've had quite a few visitors over on the Wisdom side. Thank you so much. Michael J, shout out to you. Mahmoud, friend of mine on Instagram. King Geo, thanks, man, so much for coming by. Sunday, good to see you from Clubhouse. Andy Scarantino, how welcome in. Todd, David, and Tara, welcome in. Tony, Dr. Rao, good to see you. Jennifer, hey, Jennifer Rodriguez. Kristen Brown, good morning to you. Anne Marie Buckland, also welcome. And those are a few people that come in and out of the conversation. So definitely, um, you know, um, excited to see you all. But we'll see you all the next time. Tune in at between 7 and 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. That, what is it? Let's see, 8:30, 9:30. So 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 Mountain Central. GMT, I think it's like what, almost 3 o'clock for you guys, or 3:30, something like that. But you can be here and be attentive the next time that I go on Rise and Grind. Well, that's all the time that I have. We'll see you all next on Wednesday. Take care.